everyone, and welcome to September's coffee chat. We have some special guests. Special guest number 1, special guest number 2 is right behind me, so you can't see her, but you can be assured that all the doggies are here in the office. And so hopefully nothing crazy happens and there's not too much noise. Athena is chewing on a tennis ball, so if you hear lots of noise, then I apologize. But we are here to talk about stuff for September because holy cow, it's September. I'm not really sure how that happens. I'm pretty sure it's still 2020, but you know, that's just where I am, just like mentally I'm still there. And today we're going to talk a lot about systems, routines, and also really important things that you need to know about Canva and their terms of use. So let's hop right on in. First of all, like I mentioned, it is September, so I have actually been in school for a full month. Teachers started back in July, so the kids started the very first week of August. And it's been really good, I do have to say. Now, that is not to say it's been like perfect and magical. I always want to give that caveat because it's like, it's not that everything has gone well. There's been things that have been annoying. There's been things that have not been good. I've had classes that have been great. I had to break up a fight yesterday, not from my class, but in the hallway. And it was just like, really we're doing this. Yeah, again, they were not on my watch, but I was still the one that was the closest, so I was the one who had to deal with it. And so it hasn't been perfect and magical, but it's been really good because I think that my just like mindset has been really good. I am just so excited and so grateful to be like back in my classroom, teaching music the way I want to, using instruments and getting to sing and play games and all those things that we really couldn't do before. We're still like, you know, wearing masks and sanitizing everything and all that kind of stuff, but there's just so much more that I can do than on the computer. I don't think I realized how much I was stressed out by teaching music online until now, because it's like all of a sudden I'm like, wow, I feel so much lighter and everything just is so much more fun. And I didn't realize I was that stressed out all of last year and half the year before that, but that's where we are. Along with that, I've been super busy, and especially like with this sale that just happened, I was like running around like a crazy person. I think I've worked on my computer every single night this week, like sitting with my husband after dinner, sitting on my computer, and before dinner from the time I get home. But I am very much looking forward to a nice 3-day weekend where hopefully I can chill if I can get all the things edited. Along with that, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about some systems and routines. We talked briefly about this before, and we talked about it in our like going back to school video, but I really want to encourage you to look at your life and see where you can fit in systems or routines to make things easier. In my book, The Happier Teacher Life, I talk a lot about small, I can't remember what I called it now, small stressors, I think is what I call them. Of course, I can't think about it now that I'm, you know, trying to tell you about it. But in that book, I talk a lot about that. And it's the idea that there's like all these little things in your life that drive you crazy, and usually you just ignore them. And so things like if you can never find your keys, or, you know, just all sorts of different things. And I really want to encourage you to look at those things, especially since it's the beginning of the school year, you're like setting up your routines, and really think through how you can like make those things easier. So for me, in my business, there were a couple of things that have just always kind of stressed me out. They're always things that I'm like, I don't know when I'm gonna do them. They need to get done, but I don't know how or when or any of that kind of stuff. And so what I actually did is I sat down and said, okay, here's my list of things that I need to do pretty much every month or every week. And I actually assigned them a day. And I know that that doesn't seem like the most revolutionary thing ever, but it has made a huge difference. Because, you know, typically I work on my business every single day, and I usually have a project I'm working on 4 out of 5 days. And then on the 5th day, I'm doing emails. So I work like this month, I've been batching blogs for Becca's blog. No, Becca's Bible class, that's the one. I've been batching blogs for Becca's Bible class. And so that was my project Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and then Thursdays I write emails. But the problem with that is that there's so many other things that I need to do that I feel like I just never have time to do, and they always just kind of stress me out and they just kind of sit there. So I took a monthly schedule. I just took a calendar and I was like, okay, on the 2nd Friday of every month, I'm gonna do this. And on this week, I'm gonna do this. And just adding those little things in made a huge difference. I'm not sure how it's gonna work long term with my projects, because I end up I did have like 16 project days a month, and then now I'm only gonna have like 9 because I have every Friday doing something specific, and then the last week of the month, everything each day has a different task. But I'm excited to see how it goes. For the month of August, it was really helpful. That was the first time I did it. She's just, that's just life with the dog here. So it was really helpful to have that time. Specifically, I am doing things like answering emails. I feel like I never have time to answer emails. I'm like, oh, I'll do that later, and then I like never do. And then doing Pinterest pins and scheduling out Tailwind and just things like that, that again, I feel like I always want to do them, but I never feel like I quite have time. Hello. Did you just need to be in here? So specifically with my Pinterest pins, like it was just so nice to have a day dedicated to where I was like, I can make Pinterest pins. I could actually, you know, bother to like think ahead and be like, okay, what do I need to be pinning right now so that I can get some marketing going and, you know, just stuff like that. So really, really helpful so far. Well, you'll have to stay tuned to see how it goes. In the coming months. As per usual, I would love to hear what's been working for you, especially if you have like some time management ideas, or if you have any, you know, what went well this last month, what is going well, maybe some things that were a struggle that maybe we want to talk about in a future video. Let me know those things down below in the comments. Along with this whole like creating my systems, creating my routines, figuring out what's going to work with me, one thing that I'm really working on is just not having excuses. I feel I generally am a person who doesn't like excuses, and I have slipped up a little bit and a few times just started making excuses that I really don't want to get in the habit of doing, especially since it's the beginning of the school year. I really want to like put those good habits in place. And so like this morning, I actually overslept, and I overslept not too much, like not, you know, like where I was gonna be late to work, but enough that I didn't get to have my whole normal routine. And so I got up and I was like, okay, I can skip my workout, I can skip working on my business, I can, you know, like what am I gonna do? How am I gonna make this work? And what I concluded, I was like, Becca, stop making excuses. You can be on top of things. Just because you were lazy and overslept does not mean that it's like the end of the world. And so what I ended up doing was finding a shorter workout that I could do, and then I did a little bit less than I normally would have done in my work routine. I didn't even come snuggle with Tolly. I know, are you so sad about it? I usually sit on the couch with her in the morning and we snuggle. Could you move, please? That was a good example of me being like, no, Becca, you don't have excuses. I also had this same similar thing happen yesterday where, again, I told you I've been so busy this week just like getting the sale prepped and just everything happening all kind of at once. And so dinner has taken a back seat. And yesterday I was in the middle of filming videos. I'd only filmed half of the ones I wanted to film, and my husband texted me and told me he was on his way home, and I was like, well, crap, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And so I thought about, you know, asking him to like pick something up or order something, and then I was like, you know what, we don't need to do that. And luckily I had like a frozen meal in the freezer that I was able to heat up, and so that was a way for me to not make excuses to myself to, you know, eat things that are not good for me, and instead I still got like a good meal. Now that of course requires some insight and foresight to actually have something in the freezer. So my new plan is anytime I make something that could be freezable, I'm gonna make enough to freeze some so that hopefully I can just have a couple of things ready to go for times like that, because I often find that I am running into those situations where I'm like, what are we gonna do? Either I don't get my work done or we don't eat. So that is something that is just has been on my mind, so I wanted to share it. Obviously, you know, it's okay if you accidentally sleep in, it's okay if you skip your workout, but I already skipped my workout a different day, so I was like, let's not do it twice in this week. So that's where we are. Anyway, let's talk Canva. So I meant to share this in the previous coffee chat, but I forgot, so I want to make sure I talk about it here. So I wanted to make sure that I talk about it here. On Canva, I know a lot of people use Canva. I love Canva, I use it all the time. I have always used the free version. And a lot of people are always like, oh, well, you know, teachers can get a free account for the educators, you know, whatever. And I never looked into it. I was just kind of in the back of my brain like, that doesn't seem quite right. You know, if you're getting like a teaching license, can you use it for your business? And I was never sure, and I never cared enough to actually look it up. But I was actually going through Canva's terms of use, and I found an article talking about the teacher license. If you have a free account through Canva for Educators, you are not allowed to use Canva for Educators items in your resources that are posted for sale or for free. Those are intended to be for teachers for teaching. So if you want to use them with your kids teaching, that's fine, but you are not allowed to use them in your business. So my suggestion would be either use the free account or to use the paid account, which I have to admit, I finally upgraded. It took me a full 4 years of using Canva on a weekly basis, but I finally upgraded last month, and I have to say, I don't think I'm gonna go back. I didn't think it would be worth it, but I think it's worth it. I have used their like premium features so much in the past month. It is kind of insane. For thumbnails, the background remover is like the best thing ever. Having access to more clip art and, you know, pick photos and stuff like that is super, super helpful. And just all of these things, I'm like, wow, this makes life so much better. So I finally worked it out and bought it, and I think I'm gonna keep it. I wasn't sure at first, but I think I'm gonna keep it. That being said, again, so if you have the Canva for Educators account, first of all, don't freak out. I don't think they're gonna come after you. But from this point on, stop using it. Use either the free account or use the paid account. Or if you want to leave your Canva for Educators because you do use it for your kiddos, there is a way. If you search for something, you can sort. There's like a little checkbox where you can check or uncheck Canva for Educators, and so that'll take out, if you uncheck it, all of the things that are for Canva for Educators. So that's a good way to, you know, kind of figure things out if you still want to use it. I personally have always abided by the idea of I only put things in my students' stuff that I can use and I can sell, because I know that eventually I'm going to want to sell it, and so I don't want to have to like change things in order to do that. So instead of, you know, adding random pictures, I make sure that I find stock photos that I'm allowed to use in my resources. Same thing with clip art, same thing with fonts, just all the things. I make sure that it is like pretty much ready to go on TPT when I make it for my kids, so that I don't have to stress about it, with the occasional caveat of a couple of different things, you know, like adding in different videos and stuff that I know I'm not going to put into my TPT shop, but that I just, you know, need in my lesson for whatever reason. So that's just kind of my 2 cents about the whole, you know, situation as far as copyright goes and all of that kind of stuff. But the moral of the story being, if you are using the Canva for Educators for your business, you are not allowed to do that, and you need to stop. Again, don't freak out. Like, no one's gonna come after you. It's, well, I mean, I guess they could, but they're probably not gonna come after you. Take a deep breath, and just from now on, make sure that you are not using things for Canva for Educators. Make sure that you're doing other things. And the last thing I want to say is that in the back to school season, as you are getting busier and things are a little crazier, you're trying to figure out your routines, make sure you're making time for your business. Make sure you're making time for your business, because again, we don't do excuses here on this channel. But also make sure that you're doing some stuff for you. So as I personally am going through my routines, I'm looking through ways that I can incorporate things to help me de-stress, to help me chill out, to help me do things I actually enjoy. Yes, you're allowed to do things you actually enjoy. And although it's a little bit hard for me because I am totally a workaholic, it's very necessary to keeping that long-term sanity going. So make sure that you are putting boundaries around work, putting boundaries around your business, and make sure you're adding in, you know, even if it's just like, I want to read for 30 minutes every day, or I want to take a bath once a week, or I want to play my dang cello, or painting. I've been painting this week because my friend commissioned a few pieces from me, and I was like, I forgot that I liked this. Which ironically is also what I said about teaching when I got home from my first day with my kids in the classroom. I went home and I told my husband, I was like, I forgot that I liked teaching. So my point being, make sure that you are figuring out those systems, but that you're also, you know, factoring yourself in and making sure that you are building in those little bits of self-care every day so that it's not overwhelming when you suddenly get to a point where you haven't done anything for yourself for months. And then you're just like at the breaking point. So put in little pieces now, and hopefully you're gonna have a great year. I'd love to know how your August went. How's school going? How did the sale go? All of those good things. So let me know down in the comments, and I will see you guys next time. I would also love to know what you want to talk about in October, because in October we'll be fully fallified. We're actually decorating for fall this weekend, so by the time this goes up, it'll be, well, the house will be fallified. But I didn't quite have the heart to pull out the fall mugs, because I feel like the beginning of September is that like weird no man's land. It's like not really summer, but it's not really fall. So we went with Disney instead. Anyway, I'll stop talking. Have a good month, and we shall chit chat next time. Bye.